There is no fate but what we make. It's a quote that symbolizes the franchise of Terminator. I've personally been a fan of the movies. T1 and T2 are forever etched into my soul as some of the best movies I've ever watched growing up. And while I can't say I've enjoyed the video games nearly as much, I'm thankful that developers are still trying to take a stab at making this franchise shine in the gaming space. It took over 30 years, but I think we finally have it. It's called Terminator 2D No Fate, and it's a love letter to the original movies and glorified in 16-bit goodness. This video is going to detail why this is easily the best Terminator game ever made.
Terminator 2D No Fate.
Let's address the gameplay first because this is where No Fate makes its strongest argument. We're talking old school 80s, 90s side-scrolling action here. Think Contra. The controls are tight, they're responsive, and demand that twitch reflex of enemies coming on screen from your left and your right. There's an aggressive nature about the game. It wants you to push forward like you're trying to complete a speed run. It's a great feeling because it takes just under an hour to beat the game on the easiest difficulty, and quite a bit longer on the harder ones. If you hold the fire button while you move, you'll fire continuously. If you're within melee distance, you can hit the enemy with the butt of your gun or punch to perform a knockout. This is especially good against enemies with heavy shields, when firepower just won't work on them initially. You can lock your aim at the expense of movement, you can slide under traps, and you can utilize cover mechanics to hide from incoming fire. All this feels fantastic and welcome for a pixel art game that ultimately feels like the perfect retro adrenaline vibe. The game respects the rhythm of classic shooters. You typically run with either a pistol, an assault rifle, or a shotgun, with grenades in most cases. In the future missions with older John Connor, you'll have access to a plasma rifle that modifies itself depending on the power-ups you choose. One homes in on targets, another fires wide blasts of energy to cover large portions of the level, and there are a couple more. The weapons in general feel great. There's something in particular about the shotgun though. It feels like you've got the weight of a Terminator behind each blast. It feels great. What surprised me most wasn't just the shooting, it was also the narrative. No Fate does an incredible job melding the key moments of the James Cameron films, guiding you through the timeline of T1, T2, and the Future War to tell a story. With 3 different endings that have you making a pivotal choice in the game, No Fate can stretch out anywhere from 12 to 15 levels. You'll relive moments like T-800 appearing at the bar, Sarah Connor escaping from the mental institute, the famous chase sequence with young John Connor on a bike, even the moments at Cyberdyne. It's incredible how closely tied to the movies No Fate is, from the story beats and movement all the way down to the music. It fleshes out the lore in a way that feels respectful of James Cameron's vision, bridging the gap between Sarah's trauma and John's destiny. It was awesome. The visuals immediately bring you back to that 80s, 90s time period of pixel-based side-scrolling action. It's filled with a ton of charm, all the way down to the pixelated cutscenes. I won't belabor on this too much, but it just feels right at home. When I hear people talking about their cozy game, I often reminisce about games I used to enjoy back in my youth, games that give me a ton of nostalgia. The music for the Terminator franchise has always been a massive part of what makes it so iconic, and No Fate pulled no punches here as well. They pulled the music pretty much straight from the movies and remixed them into these catchy, high-energy chiptune hybrid tracks that fit the 16-bit aesthetic while keeping that haunting metallic level of percussion. It's pretty much one-to-one in most cases with the film. It's very satisfying reliving these key moments again and having the music really behind it, almost like a celebration. The sound design is equally crisp. The assault rifle sounds good, the pulse rifle sounds pixel perfect, the sounds of T-800's footsteps, the screech of the T-1000 morphing, it's all there, man. It creates this immersive layer where even though you're looking at pixels, your ears are telling you you're watching the movie, and it's just an incredible masterclass in audio adaptation. Now, a warning for the casuals, this game does not hold your hand. The game is old school in every way, including its difficulty. The difficulty spikes pretty high, you might breeze through the first level, but once you hit the Cyberdyne research facility, the game takes the training wheels off. Each difficulty level doesn't just give enemies more health the harder you go, it also adds more obstacles to the environment. On the easiest difficulty, a hallway might be empty with 1 or 2 enemies. On the harder difficulty, that same hallway is filled with steam vents and laser pods and shielded enemies. You have to learn both enemy and stage patterns. It's pretty punishing. That feeling you get when you want to throw the controller at the wall, but it stays in your hand because you actually know better. Yeah, that kind of hard. The replay value is also pretty high as well. No Fate features a branching narrative system, nothing complex or anything like that, but multiple playthroughs eventually reveal different outcomes to the future depending on your choices. Did you save the Dyson family? Did you retrieve the CPU arm? These decisions ripple out a little bit, changing the ending and even the levels you play in the future war segments. It adds a layer of depth that most run and guns simply don't have, and makes those hour-long runs just a little bit longer. The developers also pack this thing with content to keep you coming back. You've got your story mode, which we've been covering mostly in this review. It's got arcade mode, where you must sweep the entire game without dying. You've got your standard boss rush mode. You've got infinite mode, which is basically endless wave of enemies, or survival mode. You've got a level training mode, and then you've got Mother of the Future mode, which is a blend of arcade mode where you can't die, but also it focuses on Sarah Connor's more stealthy missions and some other elements as well. And once you complete that, you'll unlock the hardest difficulty in the game, Judgment Day difficulty. So while getting through the game initially doesn't take very long, the difficulty in the varying modes really add some depth and some time to the package that I think is worth it. Terminator 2D No Fate is a success in my opinion. It understands what made the movie special, the stakes, the characters, the terror, and translates it perfectly into the language of video games. It's a fantastic nod to one of the great action franchises of the 80s and 90s, treating the source material with reverence while delivering a game that stands on its own 2 feet. Terminator 2D No Fate is easily the best Terminator game to ever come out. Even though it took 30 years to get here, it's been well worth the wait. If you love Terminator, if you love Contra, if you're looking for an 80s and 90s throwback to some of the best moments in gaming, I highly recommend you check this out.